Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Talk Cocky with me. Well, actually, it's Talk Cocky by myself today because nobody decided to join me. That's actually a lie. So, I had a couple of people lined up for this week's episode. Scheduling on my part got switched up a little bit. A couple of people weren't feeling too great. I'm actually having some sinus issues myself, so we're going to try to get through this. But there was a couple of people I invited late that turned me down. You know who you are. I'm not going to call you out, but I blame you solely, completely. It's your fault. So if you hate hearing me by myself, too bad. Keep listening. You got to blame it on the people that didn't join me. So let's get right into it with the most important thing to talk about for this week. It was what we led off last week's episode with uniforms. So Rick and I, we both actually kind of agreed on it that we wanted to see a little bit more garnet and black combos, and that was exactly what they gave us with the black lids on top of the garnet and garnet. I thought it was absolutely fire. I thought it looked awesome, especially with the lights and everything. Really hope we go with that combo a lot more. Cool if we go white lids with garnet and black combo on the uniforms, but any kind of mix and match of the garnet and black, throw in white in there too, but I just love going with our full color combinations, and I know how much y'all love uniforms, so that's how I had to start this episode off with, to give you what you wanted, because that's what I'm here for. Let's talk about the next most important thing to anybody on God's green earth involving South Carolina football, and that is lights. Lights that sparkle and glimmer and look all pretty and were freaking phenomenal. If you were not in the stadium, I don't know how it looked on TV. I've seen a lot of people's videos, so it looked really cool on, my phone watching other people's videos, but in the stadium, it was a completely different experience. It was kind of a weird thing. Like, they came out to 2001, and I think so many people had 2001 hyped up so much, like, oh God, with these new lights, it's just going to be freaking killer. But it was still a little bright out, so you didn't really get the full effect of the light effects, how it was all working. But then about late first quarter, second quarter, I think it got dark enough, and somebody up in the booth was like, okay, we're here, let's hit it. And the very first time that it was darker outside, they killed the lights and turned on the garnet, hit Sandstorm, and it just, if there was a roof on Williams-Brice Stadium, we blew it off. It was absolutely insane. Props to everybody from Ray Tanner, everybody that, said, okay, let's go ahead and pull this trigger. Let's get these lights, let's do the upgrade, let's do the ribbon boards. To Justin King, I'm assuming him and his team were the ones that kind of synchronized everything, put it together. But if we are not on this year's Christmas light fight, then there's an injustice in this world. I don't remember what channel it comes on, but we need to have Christmas light fight at Williams-Brice Stadium to watch our new display, because it's that freaking awesome. And we deserve to win. Give us the big light trophy. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, it's okay. My wife is a Christmas fanatic, so we have to watch everything remotely involving Christmas. Yes, that includes every single Hallmark movie too. So, moving on to the third thing that everybody absolutely wants to talk about involving anything to do with Gamecock football. Spencer Rattler, you got it. Yeah, he threw the two picks. They always say if you can get two hands on it, you got to come down with it. It was a smidge high for AB, and Rattler does, it comes off his hand pretty hot, but got two hands on it. You got gloves. Didn't do enough to bat it down or anything, so that's kind of 50-50. I mean, again, yeah, he could have took a hair off, but if he took a hair off, then the DBs would have been there, could have broken up, could have picked it, although it did get picked. So much could have happened there that may or may not have affected the play, but again, two hands on it, you theoretically want to come down with that ball, so I can't put full blame on him. That second pick was terrible. We all know, we all agree, second pick, absolutely terrible. He said it himself. It's nothing else to say on that. But overall, I mean, no, it wasn't the offensive production we really, really wanted and hoped. And if you listen to last week's episode, I said it's not going to be the blowout victory that Carolina fans want. We still won convincingly, and it was bigger than Vegas said we had. And to me, it was a good win. Yeah, it was still just kind of a little lackluster. You're like, oh, we got so much more. You can see that we got so much more. But I think with Spencer Rattler, he's the guy. He feeds off of rhythm, and he feeds off of big plays and those big momentum plays. And with him, just from, again, my perspective, I think he's one of those guys that he's got to complete a pass to go out and get the next pass, and then go out and get the next pass, and then go out and get the next pass. But when he gets rolling, you're in trouble. I think we came out as an offense and as a team a little vanilla, didn't want to show too much. Yeah, we did an onside kick, we did a fake field goal, all this stuff. But I don't think as a whole, as a team, we really went into this game with the idea of we're opening the playbook, we're doing everything that we can to win this game. We have to win this game and throw everything at them to win it. And to me, from what I've seen with Spencer, is I think holding the reins back on him is the worst thing you can do for him. So he doesn't put off to me that he's a guy that can go, and I don't mean this in any disrespect to Georgia State or anything like that. I don't think he's the guy that can go in and give you anything less than 100%. If you go in and say, hey, Spence, we got to burn a little clock, go out there and trot around, give me 95%. I don't think he can do that. To me, I think he has two speeds. It's in the locker room or it's balls to the freaking wall. And when things weren't getting there and when we were kind of sputtering a little bit, I think that's where he started pressing a bit. But it's game one. We weren't going full playbook, all this stuff. He has a little rust he hadn't played in, half of last season with everything. I'm not worried in the least bit. We saw when he rolled out what he has. We saw his arm strength. He was everything that we thought and hoped he would be coming in. I think it was a product of game one. Pause for a cause. Okay, need a swig of beer. There we go. So, I'm not going to do the corny, the fourth thing people want to talk about, but kind of the next thing that everybody's really, really worried about or focused on, it's the offensive line. Did they open massive gaping holes for the running back? No. Did they block their D-line for 10 seconds and give Rattler 10 hours to throw? No, but I'm still not on this. Our offensive line is absolutely garbage bandwagon that some of our fans are. One of the sacks on Spencer came from the corner. We had nobody inside. The tackle was late getting over, but yeah, you say the tackle was late getting over, but again, his priority is the line. He's only got two eyes. Guy comes from out wide. It's hard for him to make that reaction. So I'm not throwing blame on tackle, but cornerback blitz. Nobody stayed at home to block, and he got home. It happens. There was another play where we had a receiver that was in and actually missed on the block. That's also not the offensive line's fault. So you keep saying, oh, well, he got sacked. Oh, well, he got pressured. There was the play where Spencer rolls out and hits Jalen Brooks down the sideline on that phenomenal pass. Everybody, oh, well, pressure comes up the inside. Pressure comes up the inside, so he had to roll out. If you really watch that play, yeah, the defensive lineman rolls towards the center of the pocket. Our offensive lineman said, and I apologize, I haven't studied it to find exactly the offensive lineman's name that did it, but he comes over and hits that block dead on. So, yeah, the guy came through, put a little pressure. Theoretically, Spencer probably could have stayed in the pocket, but again, he's a guy that he's mobile enough, so he extended the play, rolled out that way. We saw what happened, Uh, he's a guy, too, that I think you put a little pressure on him, put him in that situation where he's scrambling a little bit, I think he turns it up a little notch. That part of his game, from what I've seen, is, yeah, he drops back throws, got a gun, got a cannon, boom, he can hit all these throws. But where he's really dangerous is when he starts breaking the pocket, extending the plays, making these DBs cover guys even longer. And then he's got the arm power to throw 40 yards on his off leg, moving, and the ball never moves. Like, it's just a straight P-Rod, straight to Brooks. I mean, phenomenal catch. One of the things, this is me, I'm not a football coach. I don't know how they coached. I don't have sat on the phone, to ask him if this is designed. But one of the things I did notice a lot when we would get a little bit of pressure is even going from a shotgun, Spencer would do a 5-step drop. Maybe that's normal. I mean, I didn't really notice and say, hey, wow, he's going way back there. But his 5-step drop was actually adding almost an additional 5 yards. And what I noticed in watching some of the replay, when he dropped back that extra 5 yards, it really stretched the pocket. And when he stretched the pocket, I don't want to say he stretched the pocket, but when the pocket would stretch like that, the D-line would be running, and especially if they kind of did some containment routes, as the pocket stretched, you now have offensive linemen out in space one-on-one, or maybe 2-on-2. But either way, you've got them out in space by themselves with theoretically more athletic guys. And those those D linemen were able to, make a move or something to then kind of get away or then get more pressure on Spencer, which, again, just kind of seemed a little odd. And I did notice on one play, I couldn't remember if it did result in a sack or not, but he did that long 5-step drop, pocket really expanded, really stretched out, and he stepped up. Well, when he stepped up, the D lineman, actually I do believe it did result in a sack. The D lineman actually turned around. So there was nobody there because Spencer had come back to the line, past the offensive lineman, and the D lineman was just there. There was no way that anybody could block him because it had gotten stretched so far. So I'm really curious if that's designed to go that far, or if kind of in the moment Spencer might be used to a 5-step drop on certain situation stuff. Maybe he dropped back a little too far. Not sure. Just a little observation that I had that was very, very interesting because, like I said, it did add a lot of pressure on certain plays instantly. So take a look at some of the highlights that came out after that game. Pay attention to that. Let me know what you think on that, because that just kind of triggered me a little bit on it. Overall, the defense, I thought, played really well. We knew going into it that they were going to run the ball a lot, and that was exactly what they did. I believe they went 0 for 11 at one point throwing the ball. So we turned them to a completely one-dimensional team. Yeah, there was a couple of times that they popped one open here and there, but when you're playing as many freshmen as we try to get in the game, and when you run the ball that many times, the law of averages says that a couple will squeak through. That's just how it happens. You're not going to stop every single run, every single time. A few of those are going to pop out. So I'm happy with it. We were able to, they had a couple that popped out, but we were able to run them down. If that happens this week, will we be able to? Might be a different story. But hopefully we won't have that issue this week. But, watching the game in the stands, watching highlights and recaps and stuff, there wasn't anything that I looked at. I was like, oh, God, we're absolutely terrible on the run this year. I saw a defensive front that I don't think the game plan was let's get a whole lot of pressure on the quarterback on passes. And I've seen that comment too as, oh, we didn't get sacks and we didn't get this. We weren't worried about their pass offense. Let's call a spade a spade. They weren't going to kill us throwing the ball. We knew that didn't matter. If we got some pressure on the quarterback, really, But we weren't going for a high sack game in this scenario because we knew they weren't going to throw it that often. So I think we probably called the dogs off a hair, weren't pushing. So I'm happy with the way that did. A lot of people were, Georgia State averaged all these yards last year. South Carolina absolutely sucked at running defense last year. In my book, I thought it was a win for us on defense. I mean, obviously it was a win for us because it was a win for us. But I'm not as worried as so many other fans are going into this week. And I get it. We're Gamecock fans. We have to expect that we're absolute terrible because that's what we do. I'm nowhere close to in that boat going into this game this weekend. The next thing is we played a lot of freshmen in a lot of positions, and it wasn't in mop-up duty either, and those guys are freaking studs. Obviously, Nicky, we threw out the Gamecock Eats, ate 'em up award of the week for that 4th and 1 stop. But we had so many other freshmen, mostly on the defensive side and special teams, that just made tremendous plays, and you're going, dang, these kids are 18, and they're already doing this. So really looking forward to what those guys do going forward. I actually tweeted out, I think Sunday, hungover is absolutely possible. It might have taken me a couple of days to get better than that, or get over all of that. But I tweeted out to Stone Blanton, like, oh my God, this was the first time he got in the field. Hey, I saw it. Apparently he got in like the second quarter or something. I missed it, but that happens when you're at the game. You don't get to actually see everybody that runs in and out and everything. So we had a lot of guys, young guys, get significant playing time. Really excited with where they're going, and really excited with what the defense looks like with these freshmen coming up. Looks like they're going to get a lot of – I just said looks like a whole lot of times there in a row, sorry. But I believe – there we go – that these guys are going to get a lot of playing time this year, really be ready to go next year. But really, really excited with what I've seen so far. This is one thing that's kind of chapped me ever since. So since Saturday night, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen, oh, but if we didn't block the punts. Oh, but if we didn't block the punts, we wouldn't have done this and we wouldn't have done that. Who gives a damn? Part of the game is special teams. If Debo Samuel's back there and he takes the opening kickoff to the house, if Debo Samuel's back there and he takes the punt back, if A. Sanders takes the punt back for touchdowns, nobody goes, oh, well, if the punt return team wouldn't have scored a touchdown. No, nobody ever discredits if, quote-unquote, your offense special teams, if somebody catches it and takes it in the house, nobody ever discredits that. But if the defense scoops and scores, pick six, or special teams block something and runs it back, it's always, oh, well, if they wouldn't have done that. Well, they did, and it's part of the game. And if you don't want that to happen, block them. Block the guys before they can get through the line and block your punt and return it for a touchdown. That is literally part of the game. It's like these coaches in basketball of, oh, well, we don't spend too much time on free throws, and then they lose the national championship because they couldn't make free throws. Well, that's on you. That's part of the game. You should practice every single part of the game as it is as important as any other play in any other aspect. I am so thankful we have a staff that not only does that, but is probably the best in the country. I really don't know that you could have a better staff than Pete Limbo and any Beamer. I mean, Hunter Beamer probably knows more about special teams than any of us do. I feel like Shane probably sits there and reads special teams playbook night stories to Hunter before they go to bed. I'm sure it's a blast. But, I don't understand why people have been so down on, oh, well, if we didn't block, I'm like, well, we did. Shut up. We did. We scored touchdowns. We didn't have to have offensive drives at that point because we blocked the punts and scored the touchdowns. Beer time. Week 2, Arkansas, at Arkansas. and it's going to be a local 11 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be a 12 o'clock kickoff in South Carolina, and if you are anywhere near the upstate, come to Local Q, where we have one of the rooms reserved for the Gamecock watch party. So come join us if you haven't seen it already. I've probably annoyed everybody to the point that you have seen it. So if for some reason you've been in a quarantine or something, or I don't know, whatever crap where you didn't see it, come out Saturday, join us. We're just watching the game, nothing fancy. Get some food, get some beers, watch games with Carolina people. So watching the Arkansas game, well, going to the Arkansas game, I think the first thing to kind of note is that they do have some questionable defensive backs for Saturday. They may have up to 2, I believe, and I believe both of their safeties, which they were already thin on. It's kind of our situation that we were in last year. They're already thin in that position. And then from Saturday, watching that position, I wasn't overly impressed with their defensive backs. So if they're losing a couple, that benefits us. I hope those guys that it's nothing serious. I never wish anybody any serious injuries. But I am not one of those of, oh, I want to beat you at your best. No, we want to win. We want to win every game. I don't care if Kentucky's got to suspend all of their players, because they do, because, culture. But I'm not above any of that crap. Steve Spurrier wanted to play Georgia early in the season because they always had guys suspended. So if Arkansas's got a couple DBs banged up, I'll take it. I'll take any advantage we can get. Let's go out and win. Again, just hope those guys are okay. But interesting to see if they do play. It sounds like one guy might have a better chance of playing than the other. So we'll see. But like I said, I wasn't overly impressed with their defensive backfield. Cincinnati had a lot of guys that kind of carved him up a little bit. And since he does have a lot of very fast guys, they looked a little kind of smaller, so maybe they got lost. But they got the ball out on the perimeter really quickly, and then their receivers just boom, boom, boom. I mean, they were cutting through that defense. Really hope we can do the same. I really like the packages that we had where we put Lloyd out wide. Apparently, we can kind of interchange that with Juju and some other guys. So I really like that we're getting creative with how we get the balls to our specialists, our athletes out wide, and how we're getting it into the most athletic guys, the quickest guys, and letting them go out and make plays versus, okay, let's run a 40-yard post route and hit it, and hopefully they bite on the pump fake or whatever. I think for our offense, that's the biggest advantage going into Saturday is, to me, I think their whole on defense is the defensive backfield. At the same time, Cincinnati did run the ball pretty well against them as well. That, to me, is going to tell me a little bit more about our offensive line going forward. They were able to pick up some yards. I don't know what their total yards are. I'm not that good of a host to where I actually do any research whatsoever. So they ran the ball pretty well against them. I want to see if we're able to go out and then open some holes, pick up some yards on the ground. We seem to have struggled a little bit Saturday with that. But again, when you're playing a Georgia State, it's just a different scenario. They've got a little bit smaller but more athletic D-line. Might be able to spin off some plays. We'll see. We'll see what we can do against an actual SEC line, more traditional, more what we're used to on Saturday. But I didn't watch the Arkansas game and go, oh, crap, they're world beaters like everybody on ESPN said. We have no chance. So I like our offense's chances against their defense. On the other side of the ball, we know what their game plan is. They're going to come out exactly like Georgia State and try to run it. I think they'll make a huge mistake if they try to get cute and do what Florida did last year and try to come out and throw the ball, thinking that, oh, well, we're going to expect them to run it, especially run it with their quarterback. We should throw it and throw them off guard. I think that will be a massive mistake on their part. if I'm an Arkansas fan, run the ball. Don't worry about passes. Run the ball, get that established, and then see where the offense goes. But that's what I believe we're probably expecting as a coaching staff that they're going to do. Huge mistake if they come out trying to throw the ball downfield. And for two reasons. Because Jefferson, from what I saw, again, I'm looking at a very small window here. I just watched last week's game. But Jefferson didn't really impress me throwing the ball. I'm not saying he can. I'm not saying he's terrible. But, and same thing with Spencer, what I said earlier. It was game one. Knocked a little rust off. But there was a lot of plays that he made where you go, okay, well, their passing game looked good. He threw the ball well. But if you really look at the plays, there was a lot of underthrown balls where the receiver was able to turn around and adjust to the ball, but the DBs just ran past the play, or they fell down, or whatever situation was, and they didn't play the ball. They were just running with the receiver. Receiver stops, turns, boom, they go falling down, and receiver catches the ball. I think we'll probably defend the passes a lot better this week than Cincinnati's DBs did last week. So, again, I go back to I think that'll be it. I really hope they do. I hope they come out and try to throw the ball against us. I'll take our defensive backs in that all day long. No, I'm not saying he's terrible, that we'll shut him down to 0-23 passes or whatever. I'll take it, but I'm not saying that's the situation. But their game plan is going to be to run the ball. We're going to have to step up and stop it. I think in that same sense, that's going to be the number one determining factor for Saturday is going to be us containing the run, not only the running game or the running backs, but Jefferson himself. We've all heard how he's Hercules size. Tim Tebow wears his pajamas to bed, and he's a big boy. He's really quick, very elusive for his size. We're going to have to get everybody the ball, bring him down. But this is going to be a run game, run defense for us. And that's just the focus. If it's late in the game and if it's close, they're going to do exactly what they did against Cincinnati. They're going to go to the ground. They're not going to pick it up a single time. They would be stupid to. But they're going to try to run the ball, run the clock out if it's close. So, score, I honestly do not have a score prediction. I think, and I'll pull one out for you. I'll pull one out. Don't worry. I'm not going to let you down like that. But I think for if somebody said, I'll give you this many points for you to feel comfortable and say, yes, Carolina should win if we score that. For me, I put that at 35. It's a little higher, but I think Arkansas is going to get their points. They're not going to look as kind of bad as they did last week. They're going to be a little bit better. I expect them to get a couple of touchdowns, a couple field goals probably. If you give me 35, I'll say we win. I'll take a 2-0 game. I don't care. My pride ain't there. But, what do I actually expect? I'm going to say, I put myself on the spot. I should have prepared better. I'm a terrible host. You should stop listening. Please don't. I will say 31-27. Us is what I think and hope the game will be. Well, I hope it's like 50-0, but I think that's what I'm going with. Worst case scenario is if our offense falls flat. I don't believe it will. If it falls flat, I see us with like 14 and then probably low 20s if it goes the other direction. But I think for us to pull the W, we need to at least go over 30. I would feel comfortable with that. But if we hit 35, to me, I think we'll win this ball game. I think our defense is a little better than their defense. And I think our offenses are close enough that there's not a massive difference. So if it turns into a little bit of a higher-ish scoring game, I actually like our chances more than theirs. So that's me. I'm sticking with my preseason W here. It's not going to be an easy game. I didn't see anything from Arkansas that says this is not a winnable game. I didn't see anything from us that says it's not a winnable game. I say we go out, we get the job done, we come back home, get ready for Georgia. So that's it. Gamecocks W. I'm all alone. Everybody left me. Nobody loves me. Here I am. Drop some comments in the comment section. That's where comments go. Let me know what you thought, if you agree, if you disagree, because I'm talking by myself. So give me some feedback. Let's hear what your thoughts are. And we're going to close it out like we do every time. Demo, go Gamecocks.